All right, welcome back to Book Nook Brews. This is episode 14, reviewing chapters 16 through 33 of Portrait of a Thief by Grace D. Lee. Um, Not really any brews today. I mean, you have your
I do
your
have my
new cold brew that you're trying.
yeah. So I feel like a couple of years I've tried this brand, because it's a cold brew coffee with oat milk, and I just love oat milk. But this is particularly made with Oatly, so we know it's good. And so the one that I've always had was their cold brew coffee with oat milk and the flavor chocolate. But this one I saw when we went to Whole Foods. They have horchata. Oh my god,
Yeah,
yeah. It's so good. I like it. I spoiler alert, you did not like it.
I did
But
not.
I love it so much. So this is my brew of the day.
And then I don't have any because I'm just assuming we're going to be drinking later tonight, so saving that up.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Belated for when this comes out. Belated.
Yeah, by a day, I think.
Yeah,
Right?
so happy late Mother's Day to all of those who are mothers. Well, I guess soon to be mothers as well. Yeah. To the furry mothers, to all different kinds of mothers today who are grieving loss or are there or far away from their little ones. So again, happy Mother's Day.
Yeah.
In the short, happy Mother's Day. Um, but yeah, no really new book news on my end. Haven't really had time to read, but I feel like these past 2 weeks have been a little bit of a not enough time to do anything else because we have my parents are out of town. We had to take care of the little doggos, so it's
Yeah.
like
Dog sitting.
yeah, we just running around doing little things. However, I did read this book, so yeah, I think that's pretty much it. As in, like, what to catch up from.
Yeah.
I really want to hear your thoughts on these last few chapters.
Yeah.
Cause, yeah. Here, you know what? Yeah, let me just get into the whole review. The recap. The recap. Yep. All right. So I'm gonna see if I can try something new with how I do these recaps per se, or at least these are a little bit different because every chapter is a new narration. So I'm gonna see how I can kind of seamlessly say whose point of view it is. So if not, I'm just gonna say the name. But
Yeah.
let's go ahead and start. Chapter 16, Alex. Daniel invites Alex over to his house for dinner with him and his father. She asks him if that would be weird, and he says probably, but less weird than it would be if it were just him and his father. He might even be excited, but just to not hack his own things. So at dinner, Alex asks to go to the bathroom. Now she walks back to Daniel. As she walks back to the whole room, she stumbles across his father's office. The computer screen has the FBI logo glowing blue and a box underneath that reads, "Enter password here." Daniel calls for Alex and she heads back, leaving the glowing screen. Later in the evening, Daniel thanks Alex for coming by, and as she leaves, she couldn't help but think how this could all end in grief. Chapter 17, Will. So Will and Lily have a little moment. They both tell each other that they're only looking for something temporary, but it doesn't really matter because they can't cross that line, not when they have so much at stake. They can't really risk that getting in the way of their whole mission. Once in Stockholm, they all go out as a group and talk about what they would all do with $10 million. There is so much they could all do with $10 million. They just have to make sure this all goes well without a problem. Chapter 18, Irene. Irene goes inside of Drottingholm. Drottingholm? Yeah.
It ends in H-O-M or A-M?
Holm.
Home. Yeah.
Like Stockholm.
Yeah.
So
Trotting home.
Drottingholm Palace and encounters a guard. Alex is inside her ear, giving her directions around, but Irene decides to talk to the guard and have him guide her. Alex was against this, but Irene didn't care. At the end, Irene throws away a handful of palace maps she pickpocketed from the guard. Chapter 19, Alex. So she is pretty much livid that Irene did not listen to her instructions at all. So once Irene gets back from the hotel, Alex confronts Irene about her actions. Yet Irene stands by what she did and told Alex that she still hasn't done her job, which was or is to hack into the museum security system and turn off the alarms. However, Alex did hack into the security system, but she won't turn off the alarms because the FBI will track it back to them. What matters is about getting them out, and the alarms won't stop them from getting in. After this, Irene tells Alex that the reason she talked to the guard is because when the alarms do go off, they will need to know the fastest path to the Chinese pavilion, because that's the path that they need to avoid. So there's still tension between Alex and Irene, but they essentially end it with not getting in each other's way. Chapter 20, Daniel. Daniel calls his dad and they have a quick chat, with him ending the call by asking his dad if they'll go to China this year, and he says yes and thanks him for calling. Will comes into the balcony with him and they have a brief moment. Will tells Daniel that he still has time to change his mind, but before they leave the hotel for the heist, Will tells Daniel that if things go wrong, he hopes he can forgive him. Daniel then asks, and if this goes right? And Will responds with, he hopes he'll still forgive him. Chapter 21, Lily. Lily and Will are walking down Stockholm together, ending up by a pier where Lily hijacks a boat for their getaway vehicle for the heist. Will and Lily have a cute little kind of scene, but they kind of cut it so that they can focus back on the mission and not really get distracted. So later, the time is winding down. Then in the distance, sirens begin to wail. Now we get into what the author kind of breaks it off to part 2 of the book. So now we are in part 2 of the book, but we're getting into chapter 22, Daniel's point of view. So the sirens were not because of them. They were heading to another side of the city, but it's heist time. Daniel grabs his bat and smashes it against the window of the Chinese pavilion. They have exactly 6 minutes to get the sculptures and then book it. Once their time was up, they now had to get out, which essentially is the hardest part. Will, Irene, and Daniel get on their mopeds and take their escape route. The museum's alarms was a silent one, but the security was still a threat. Daniel could hear the shouts of the guards get louder, but they all make it through the escape route and get to the getaway boat that Lily has ready for them, escaping the museum just in time. Back at the hotel, they all celebrate the success of their first heist. And I'll add this in just so we can talk about it later, but towards the end of that chapter, there's another moment between Daniel and Irene where Irene faintly kisses him, but then pulls away and tells him to stop chasing the impossible. Chapter 23, Will. So he still hasn't been able to fall asleep yet. He puts the glove on his hands and examines the pieces that they took and writes down detailed notes about them. He knew they would have to steal more than just the Zodiac heads to not make this look like a targeted theft. Chapter 24, Irene. Irene apologizes to Daniel for what she did the night before, and he accepts her apology, but tells her that the next time she plans on kissing him, she better mean it. At the airport, Irene gets stopped by customs because they need to take a look at her suitcase, which has the bronze Zodiac head in the center. Just as one of the agents gets closer to it, Another one stops him and tells Irene that this was an unnecessary search, and his colleague should have looked at her documents first before, and they essentially just let her go. What were in the documents was an image that she had registered with customs prior to getting to Stockholm. So essentially, she registered this in the US. All right. Chapter 25, Will. So what Irene had documented through customs back in the US was an imitation will created to bring into Stockholm, of which they left in the Stockholm River after their heist. And that's essentially really just the most important part about chapter 25. There's another thing, but I'll bring that up later. Chapter 26, Alex. On the night of the heist, before it all began, Alex flung an explosive to some cars in a wealthy area in Stockholm, creating a bit of a distraction for the heist crew at the museum. We also find out that Alex grabbed a USB from Daniel's dad's computer, and she opened it up once she was back in the apartment after the heist. Chapter 27, Irene. In class, Irene and a guy named James Reyes discuss the theft. Irene says it was essentially just China taking back what's theirs, but James says he doesn't really think it's China because it looked like a very reckless theft. It's more like someone else is competing with China. Late that night, Irene decides to call Alex. Alex tells her that she got into the FBI system with some help with Lily and access to Daniel's dad's computer. However, Irene and Alex kind of get into an argument, but in like a silent manner. Irene thinks that Alex knows it all because she's in Silicon Valley and she's essentially coding at a big firm. So she already has these prejudices against her. But when Irene receives the FBI images from Alex, she sees that there's nothing. The only thing the FBI has right now is that there are 3 figures, a speedboat, and this was already things that everyone in the news knew about. Chapter 28, Lily. In one of their Zoom meetings, Alex informs them that the police have finally spoken with the press and have called the heist an ordered job. So now that means the next question will be, well, who is doing the ordering? Meanwhile, Daniel's dad is getting put into a special joint task force due to his Chinese art expertise. Irene is worried that this is getting more attention than it should because it could turn into a political nightmare if the eyes shift to China. But Daniel bites back with, well, that was always going to be the case. The Zoom meeting ends and Lily gets a text from Will. Irene asks who it is and she tells her it's her brother. Irene warns Lily about him again, and even though she knows she shouldn't, there's just something there that keeps bringing her thoughts back to him. Chapter 29, Lily. Now they're in France. Originally, the car Will rented was a little too attention-seeking, so with her spare cash, Lily bought one and made some fixes to it so that she could race it and get something else. Eventually, she ends up in a race where she pulls up in a yellow Lamborghini, and next to her was a man in a matte black Bugatti. They race and she wins. He gives her the car, but also his number in case she wants to hit him up or anything. Chapter 30, Will. The whole crew has a cute little scene in Paris where they all agree that they would come back to Europe together in the summer. Will enjoys this moment as this is just another moment for them before the heist. Chapter 31, Alex. The second heist has begun. Alex is adjusting the dials on the radio to the police station. She had expected silence, but as the static clears, she hears the police talking in an urgent tone. Her screen loads and police cars are moving fast toward the Chateau de Fontainebleau. Bleu or Fontainebleau? Because E-A-U make the O. Chateau de Fontainebleau. We'll just say that.
Sure.
They were supposed to have 7 minutes, but right now the team has to get out and fast. Chapter 32, Daniel. As they get to the Chinese museum, they all expected to see the bronze rooster head, but instead, all they see was shattered glasses and empty cases. Alex tells them to get out. They all book it and get back to the hotel. Once they're back at their hotel, Will asks, "What was that?" And Irene responds that this was just their competition. Will and Irene get into a heated argument. He blames her for not telling them that there would be competition, even though she really has no concrete evidence that there would be competition. But Daniel breaks up the fight and tells Will that he needs to stop treating the heist as if it was just his. Everyone here has a stake at this. Daniel helps him cool off, and Will goes back and apologizes to Irene. Now, their next course of action is to delete the footage of Will and Irene talking at the museum the day prior. They don't need eyes on them when they didn't commit the crime for this one. Will tells Irene to go with Alex and cover her to get the footage. He knows they don't get along, but that doesn't matter right now. Getting rid of the footage is top priority at the moment. Chapter 33, Alex. Alex is stressed about the whole ordeal. She needs access to their internal server, but she can't because she doesn't have Wi-Fi. Irene tells her that she's only there because Alex likes beautiful things. Because Will likes beautiful things. And she's just a software engineer and nothing more. Alex argues back with her and eventually tells her that she can't do this. She needs to get into that internal server, and without the Wi-Fi, she won't be able to do anything. And Irene kind of gets like this little moment. She's like, okay, you need Wi-Fi? She pulls them both into a coffee shop and gives her the museum's Wi-Fi, since that's what the coffee shop uses. And so Alex gets to work. After a bit, she downloaded the footage, deleted it off the museum server and every other backup she could find, and she set her IP to an address in a province in China. If they thought China was behind it, since she was going to let them think that. Alex and Irene end up at a McDonald's at 5 a.m. in the morning. They begin to talk about why they're in this heist. Alex tells her that she's in it because she dropped out from MIT when she received an offer from Google. The money was enough to help her and her parents, and even though she wasn't really happy, it was enough to get them out of their situation that they're in, and the job felt like another opportunity or a second chance for them. Irene tells Alex that she doesn't like any of Will's exes, and Alex tells her that she was never Will's ex. It was just 2 dates. Irene softens up a little bit, and they end up in better terms. And that's how the set of chapters end for this week. What are your thoughts?
I'm really liking it. The heist was quick, but
Yeah.
I think it was good enough. I think if they extended it, it would have been a bit too much. And it didn't. It felt rushed, but in the way that it's supposed to feel rushed. Like it's making you feel like you're seeing it go, go by. I did want to go back to something in chapter 30 that you kind of just ran by, that I think one of my bigger theories comes from that.
Okay.
And you kind of just...
Yeah, so me doing these recaps for this book, I find it a little bit more difficult. I don't know. I feel like because it jumps around from different points of views, it's a little bit difficult to catch what's like the important things, because a lot of it is a little bit of filler or like the characters getting to know one another. So
No, but in this one you did get it. But yeah, I feel like you probably didn't
expand on it.
No, I feel like you didn't understand what happened there. Like you did
Is it the Lily Carr situation?
Yeah.
Okay. Please tell me, because I read that like 2 times, and I don't know if it was because I was in like reading and writing mode that I missed it, because I was going to ask you about that.
You said she got the number in case she wanted to hit him up or something. No. What he had said is, here's my number for whenever you want that rematch. He wants his car back. Or just both cars. And I mean, obviously, if he wins, he'd take both of them, right?
Oh,
but
okay.
he wants his car back. Now, he could have been flirting as well, also. But the point is, he said for that rematch. He didn't say to hit me up or anything. He specifically had said rematch. Then she said she wasn't going to be in town for long, and he said the same thing. He's like, well, so am I. And that's where that ended. I feel like he's part of the group that is competing with them.
Yes.
He's there for the heist as well. Mm-hmm. That's why he already had a matte black Lamborghini. He already had one that was whatever, and maybe he was trying to get another one for something else, right? Like maybe win her yellow one and paint it, whatever. That way they have 2 just in case. I don't know what their plan is there. Or maybe he just really likes racing, and he was like, while his group is out celebrating that they got there first or whatever, he's out there racing, and he's like, I'm just going to go race this real quick. But he wants the car back. My assumption is he didn't expect to lose it. Mm-hmm. And was the one that she had, it wasn't a yellow Lamborghini.
It said yellow Lamborghini. I read that twice, yeah.
Okay.
Because I was a little bit lost, because Will had gotten a bright colored car.
That one was a yellow one.
So did they really just get a yellow Lamborghini, and then she wanted to trade it off?
What I thought happened was they went to a
car rental.
Will didn't pick it out. The car person there that worked there,
because they ran out,
brought it out because it was their last car.
Mm-hmm.
And no, actually, you're right. Yeah, that one they brought out. That one was a yellow one, but it was like a little old like junky car, like a small. What I thought about it was like a little Beetle.
No, I thought so too.
Like a yellow Beetle or like a Mini Cooper or something like that. Something, but it was bright. Mm-hmm. And so she's like, "Yeah, no, keep that. We'll go to a used car dealership with what, 400 euros?
Yeah,
something like that."
So that's I'm like, I don't understand. How do you go from that to a yellow Lamborghini?
So what had happened there is whatever car they got, which I'm assuming now is the yellow Lamborghini, it was all beat up, and it was 400 euros worth. Mm-hmm. And she spent like most of the chapter fixing it up. So I'm assuming they bought a really old Lamborghini, and she bought all the parts to make it fast enough to race. Mm-hmm. Now she was going to take that one that was kind of beat up and yellow to a race to try to win a more a better getaway car. Yeah, yes, which she got a black matte version of the Lamborghini.
But here's the thing: they didn't even use it because they ended up their getaway ended up being a boat.
That's the heist before. This is chapter 30.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, because they never got to use the getaway car because this one got ruined for them. You're right, my bad.
Every heist is going to have a different escape thing. The one was a boat. This was going to be a getaway car. And then yeah. So that's my one of my bigger theories here. The guy that had the black matte Lamborghini that said he wanted the rematch and gave her his number is part of the other team that had gotten there before them. Now Lily has the number of the guy, and they don't know that yet.
I wonder if that's going to click in her head. I also I also thought back to that moment that guy had something to do with the heist, like, you know, the competition essentially.
Yeah.
And because there's no way the author is just going to mention it without it actually having some importance, because I think that was the bulk of that chapter. Aside from because Lily did have a conversation with Daniel, essentially talking about going to China.
Yeah. While she was fixing up the car.
Yeah. So that was like a lot of these chapters have a lot of little bonding moments between all the characters that I'm not sure if it's something to really share unless it's like a big highlight. But this is something that she did mention. And then they had the race where she got the Bugatti, which, damn, I really wish we got to see her race, try them out.
Yeah. Yeah. Other than that, I don't think I have any other theories for the like. I'm still stuck on the same theory as before. Like her dad, or Daniel's dad, is gonna get more involved. Now they hacked into his computer, so there's that risk too.
And Daniel doesn't know that they hacked into his computer.
No,
not at all.
When he specifically said not to.
Yeah.
But technically, she's still doing what he told her. He's not hacking into his actual computer. He just hacked
into the FBI server?
Into his computer. Not on his computer, but into it. But that's going to cause a lot of drama, and I feel like Daniel's probably going to find out, and he's going to leave on the last heist or something, or I don't know.
At first, I thought it would be an issue between Alex and Irene, and we did see them not essentially blow up in the heist. They had to blow up before the heist, where Irene didn't pay attention. Like, she just kind of blew her off.
But then we learned it was for a good reason.
Yes.
She just needs to state that during it.
Yeah. And then the second time that they had like another tense moment was after the second heist that did not go well, where they go together
to the coffee shop.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, like they have like a little tense moment, but Irene kind of just
chills out.
Yeah, chills out and gives her what she needs, which is the Wi-Fi, which is kind of epic how Irene is just very on top of certain things.
Yeah.
And almost has it like a backup per se.
Mm-hmm.
But I really enjoyed the moment that they had in McDonald's, because I think now Irene has chilled out. Because as I've said and I said it in this episode, but in the last one more, Irene just does not like her because she's quote unquote Will's ex, and she's just not.
Yeah.
She just, like, they had 2 dates and they just ended up being friends because they knew nothing was going to come out of it. And Alex is just not really into him at all.
Yeah.
Like, she's there because she wants something for herself. She's not there for Will.
Yeah.
She's there because she needs the money for her family. And I think Irene now sees that she's not this, like, hoity-toity girl
like
in Silicon
she told
Valley.
Her straight up. She's like, I didn't know you felt this way. Mm-hmm. And Alex was just like, straight up, you never asked.
Exactly. But I also liked how, because Alex then asked her, she's like, how do so many people just like you? She's like, well, I give them something to like.
Yeah.
And she's like, you never gave me something to like. And Irene's like, do you want me to give, like, I can do that. We can start all over. And Alex like, no, I'll have you as you are. And I'm like, oh, it's so cute.
Yeah.
Which we also find out in these set of chapters that I think the reason between that Daniel and Irene never really worked out was because Irene is interested in women as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because he kisses her, and then I don't know if it was that night or it was when Irene apologizes that Daniel's like, I don't want to go down this run again. I've met your ex-girlfriends. I'm like, oh.
No, but she kissed him. But because he was drunk.
Yeah, sorry. Did I say that he kissed her? Oh, my bad. That she, after Irene kissed him. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know
she
if it
kissed him while he was drunk to mess with him. Which is also kind of got me like,
yeah. Irene is just
And that's where she
messy.
tells him, she's like, don't chase the impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously she's interested in women. Daniel's never going to be able to make it. And so she's like, don't chase the impossible. Kisses him. And while he's drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Daniel's reaction afterwards is like, all right. Like, that's what you were supposed to say. Because he's like, he was upset that she had done it while he was drunk. And then, two, he was like, next time you do it, mean it. And because that's not going to happen.
Exactly. Ugh, Irene. Like, she's messy, but she's flawed. Like, a person is.
Yeah.
I just don't like the fact that she didn't mess with him.
Yeah, like all the other things I could, like, look away from. Mm-hmm. But that one was kind of like,
Yeah. The one thing I will say, I have some romance theories. I know you don't like them, but I have some romance theories.
Okay.
So at first I thought maybe Daniel and Irene would have a moment where they get to reconcile with one another, but maybe like towards the end of the chapter or end of the book. Now I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
I think Irene and Alex might develop into something, or at least like grow closer to each other, because we don't really know what Alex is into. We don't. We know that
True.
she tried to date Will, but like
Yeah.
but like Alex is really like focused on other things. But her little, what she said to Irene, which I mean anyone could have said, but she's like, I'll take you as you are, rather than her, like Irene, having to change or make herself likable to her.
Yeah, but I think that just could be in like a friend way because
Yeah.
of all the time she has spent in what is it, Silicon Valley.
Mm-hmm.
She like is used to a bunch of fake people.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, she was like, "No, I just like stay how you are. If this is how you are, like being whatever,
She would
keep it at as that. Like at least you're not being fake and pretending to be."
exactly.
Yeah,
But
I think they're just gonna grow closer friends. Like they're actually gonna be really good friends at the end of this.
true. I'm just saying, like maybe if for whatever reason. But it goes back to the thing where I just don't feel like Irene or Alex are really just interested in like any sort of romance.
Yeah,
But if I did have a little hunch, it would be them too.
yeah,
Obviously, we know that Will and Lily have something going on.
which is stupid.
Yeah,
I don't like that
I
at
don't
all.
get it. I don't want it.
Nope.
I don't want it. Like Lily can do better.
Lily just needs to stick to cars, bro.
Yeah. I just Will just doesn't really seem that he has like anything figured out. Like he seems very self-centered
Yeah,
and focused on him and what he wants. Luckily, everyone else just is also in it for the heist for their own reasons, but
everyone's aware of what Will is,
yes.
and like they've warned Lily, no?
Yeah, I mean Lily got warned at the very beginning,
Yeah,
prior to her even meeting Will, like
Yeah.
actually, and has now been warned by Irene again, like
Yeah.
don't get close to my brother.
Don't be the one to think that you can change him, is what she told him, and it's like, yeah. But that can be said about a lot of people nowadays too.
Yeah.
A lot of people get with somebody else and be like, no, I can change him. Nope. They're like that for a
It's
reason.
the trope. It's the trope. So yeah, I don't want anything to happen between them. I really don't. Because like they both said it, it's like, why have that come in between everything they have going on with the heist?
Yeah.
Don't bring something that can turn complicated, especially knowing that Will is just complicated overall. Don't bring that in. Just stick to each other's like different things. And I feel like Will almost eggs it on because he's like texting Lily like, oh, this is like a nice house like here, like to establish like a home place.
Yeah.
And then
It's
like
kinda
that's playing with her,
weird.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Sometimes I just want to bop Hill in the fucking face. Will. But did you expect that they would have competition?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Like I knew that was like thrown in there in the beginning, something about like it was hinted at. I don't remember.
Was it?
It was hinted at that they're like, I guess it was after the first heist. Yeah, where she was talking to those students and all that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. That's when they started like talking about other possibilities or how someone could be in competition with China or something like that. And, you know, it's kind of hinted at there, but it's also like you don't expect it to happen. You think you're just reading a conversation between people, but really it was like kind of like foreshadowing to that. But what surprised me more than there actually being competition is the fact that those people were probably still in there while they were in their heist. I don't know if you remember, but there was a part in the book where they were like, I don't know what point of view we were in, but they were thinking in their head. They were looking at everything around, the glass shattered on the ground and stuff. They were like, there's no way like these people already made it out before like us and stuff like that. So I don't know like you caught that too, the guards already being on the way was because of the first group.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I mentioned that that Alex, when she was turning in the dials,
yeah,
they were already in a like hush hush. Well, not hush hush, but they were already talking in a very urgent tone.
yeah,
And when she like loaded up the screens, she saw that they were all moving.
yeah. So because they were already on the way, I mean, they only had what, 7 minutes, right? The original time was 7-8 minutes. I'm assuming the other team had that same amount of time, right? That's how the alarm and the cops worked. So for them to go already in there and the cops already 2 minutes away, they looked around and they're like, there's no way these people are out of here already.
Yeah.
So they had to go immediately because the cops were already under a minute away. But those people were still around. They don't know if they were in the museum or not, but they were around. There's no way they made it out yet.
Mm-hmm.
But their getaway was going to be the cops looking for this group.
Oh.
So they knew they were going to have extra time to leave because they knew this group was going to come right after them. So their little extra 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever
But
was.
how did they figure that out? Oh my god!
Because it was I think it was Daniel that looked around.
Mm-hmm. It was him.
To what were they getting this time? It was another Zodiac thing.
It was the bronze rooster head.
The rooster, yeah. Where they were in the room for the rooster head already. There was glass broken on the ground. And he was like, this just happened. It's like, there's no way. And so what I'm assuming is the other team went a different route. And like a different route that was out of the picture or something. And the cops were going to go the normal route, which is where they were going to get out of and all that stuff. And that was going to be their extra bit. While they're being chased, they were leaving. Like, that group is on top of it. And they are fully aware that someone else is trying to get that stuff too.
But my thing is, how did they also just so happen to...
I have a theory that is not... that, like, I'm 5% confident in it, but it's in my head.
Okay, say it.
I forgot her name, but the person that got the group together, the one that's part of China Poli.
Yuling?
It starts with a Y, but
W and Y.
Yeah, well, her. I have a feeling she hired multiple people, like multiple groups, and it's kind of like, everybody go get them, and then bring them back to me. Whoever gets caught gets caught. I still have all of them.
But what about the money?
That's where I'm thinking, like, is there actually going to be a reward here? Or maybe there is, but for the team that ends up getting everything. Because everybody's saying, oh, competition. Everybody's thinking it's competition, but it could very well just be she's going around hiring other people too. I mean, she got these 5 random people. She could be going around getting 5 other random people too and stuff like that. Because there's multiple locations, maybe she doesn't trust that one team is going to be able to get to all of them. So she's like, here's the locations to all of them. First team get there. And that's that. But like I said, that's like 5% there. Like, it's in my head. I just kind of like, if it happens, I'm like, aha.
Guess what? I had also thought of that too.
Yeah.
Because I was like, could it be possible that she just hired multiple people, like multiple groups, just to see? Yeah. I was like, no, there's no way. But it was like a quick thought that happened the moment I thought, like, I saw that the heist happened.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, man. I mean, at this point, we have 3 more heists left.
Yeah.
Question is, how are they going to prepare for a heist that they don't really know when it's like going to happen per se?
Right. I mean, from the look of the book, we're a little more than halfway. And we've only done 2 heists, and one of them was failed. My thinking is, do we actually get through all 3 of them? Or does this thing blow up and they don't get to the last 2 or something like that? like we get a reveal or something like that, and they don't have to go through with the other heists or something. I don't know. I don't know if all 5 are gonna get done.
I have a feeling we might have an open ending.
You think so?
Yes.
For her first debut novel, you think it's a open ending? You think this is gonna be a series?
I feel like
You think this is gonna be a series?
No, I don't think it's gonna be a series. I think this is a one-time book, and if anything, I might
It's open to interpretation at the end.
Yes.
You think?
Your favorites.
Yeah.
You love those.
Yes, I do.
I do. I did see that. I think she's coming out with another book, though, because I forgot what I was looking up about her.
Mm-hmm.
But let me see. Anyways, yes. What were we talking about? Getting through all the heists. Yeah. Interesting that you don't. So you think we're probably going to get one more heist then?
I know we're going to get one more, but I feel like it's going to be to, like, see that there is other people. Like, I don't know, maybe they're going to get closer to meeting up with them or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe, like, this just popped into my head too. Maybe the different groups get together and they find out that one's being paid more than the other, or one's getting offered something else, and they're like, do we really want to work for this person? And then they work together, or things get bad between them, whatever. But I don't know. That's another thing too.
Because
like I said, she does have the number.
Yeah.
So that could come back and she's like, wait, I could just call this person and then we could meet up with them.
Well, and here's the thing. Okay. So first thought, let me get through my one thought. I think there may be 2 more heists.
Okay.
And I don't think the last one is going to happen either.
Okay.
I feel like something might happen to where someone might get caught or something blows up in the sense that they don't have to go through with it.
Yeah.
So there's that. But somehow I do feel like they might end up with money. I just don't know how. I do feel like there may be a reward that they all get. Otherwise, what do they learn from this? Or who knows? Maybe
Not
they
to
get
accept random invitations.
or maybe they don't get money and they learn something from this. So that's potentially one thing. Second thought, and I think it now left my head. Oh, the whole Lily and the phone number. So now that I guess the next thing is how is she going to know or grab that number and be like, oh, like make that connection? How is she going to make that connection?
Yeah.
Because I don't think she had thrown it away.
No.
But maybe they'll start talking as they're getting ready for the third heist. And Will's like, we can't have this happen again. Like, we need to be better prepared for this. What are we going to do? And maybe they'll think back to the things that were a little bit off in their trip to Paris. And Lily will bring up, well, I did race and I did get a phone number from this guy. Could he potentially have anything to do with this? I don't know.
Either that, or maybe they're like, oh, we need like an extra person real quick for this one. Maybe it's a bigger one. She's like, well, this guy did race pretty well. I took his car. We could see whatever. And they're thinking of him as a 6th person, but without knowing that he's working for the other people. So now he's in closer with this group, takes details from them back to his group, and
True.
they beat him even faster, or they even throw them under the bus or something. I don't know. A bunch of ways this could go.
I know. Who knows if they'd want to bring someone else in, though? Because if they're winning $50 million, that's an even split between 5.
Yeah.
Now you're bringing 6, not so much of an even split, but who knows?
Granted, it's still millions, but
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, hey, I don't think you knew this, but this is part of Steph Curry's book club pick.
oh, no way.
Yeah.
Guess I'm a baller now.
Shut yes. Okay. So there's another book. I don't know if this has come out just yet, but it's called Anatomy of a Betrayal.
Dang, she loves her of a portrait of a thief. Anatomy of a betrayal.
That is true. That is right now the only 2, but I think that one might still not have come out just yet. So just thoughts, you know. So right now the only one first that has come out is Portrait of a Thief. But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really enjoying this book, and I think those are all my thoughts.
I think so too.
I'm excited to see what more we'll get from these next set of chapters. I think we're gonna have so the next few chapters that we'll be reading for next week, it'll be chapters 34 through 50. And I have a feeling we'll get some more details as to like the different heists and everything.
Yeah.
Or I feel like we're going to get one more heist in from this set. But I also feel like they're going to figure out something that is probably a turning point for them.
Yeah, I feel like at the point that the book is at, there has to be something that goes on like halfway in between that section that we have.
Mm-hmm.
That, like you said, is the turning point for something.
What do you think about before we end? What do you think about the author separating this out? Because this book is separated into 3 parts. We've now read the first part. We're right now in the second part, and there's a third part.
So far, from the split, the first split that we saw, it says Act 2, no, or Part 2?
Part 2.
Part 2? Either way, like, I don't see the point of it yet. Like, I don't really care that it was split like that. I also don't mind it because it didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It didn't do anything. So why is it there? That's why I'm like, let's wait for Part 3. And yeah, that's another thought I had. Like, what if Part 3 is a jump in time?
Interesting.
And it's like after all this happened, like them. Let's say it all goes through well. It's a jump in time, seeing how everybody's living after their millions, stuff like that. The reunion in China in May, like they said.
That would defeat the purpose of this being an open-ended book.
Yeah. But what if it ends with like an invite to another heist
true.
or
Okay.
something, you know, like at the reunion or something like that. Or I don't know. Or I haven't read what the anatomy of a betrayal is going to be, but what if that is a follow-up to this?
I did see the blurb. It talked about two students. That's all I saw from the very beginning, but I'll show you the blurb later.
I did see the publication date estimated to be June of 2025.
2025? I have to wait another
June
year?
June 1st of 2025.
Immigrated.
Yeah.
So yeah, so part one of the book led up all the way to like Lily saying like, and then in the distance she hears sirens start to wail.
Yeah.
And then part 2 is the beginning of their very first heist.
Yeah. Which I also got mad at that because I was like, dang, was that like a time jump or whatever? But no, literally in the next part, it was like, yeah, they're going to like
the other side.
The other side. Like, yeah,
Which
it was the sirens.
is because of Alex throwing those explosives.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like the smell of smoke or something like that, which we later learned it was because of the distraction. But I already thought the first one was going wrong there. It's like, damn, they just started and there's already sirens. Yeah, and then I just turned the page and it's like, yeah, they were going towards the smoke. I'm like, bro.
It's all part of the plan. But that was good writing. I gotta hand it to her because I was like, oh no, what's going on? I'm like, we didn't even get to see the heist. And then I was like, no, it's just going over there.
Yeah.
But so yeah, next week we'll be reading chapters 34 through 50. And that means we're one step closer to the end of this book. And hopefully I'll figure out a better way of like doing this recap because I feel like this one is just a little bit choppy. I don't know. I gotta toy around with it, but it's like one book of all the others. Yeah. It's just I still like how we're jumping through different points of views, but that does make the recap just a little bit difficult. So I don't know if maybe it's just grabbing like the highlights from all the different recaps, but that's neither here nor there for it to be on here. So my bad. This is just like the logistical sides of the podcast and like writing that out. But in case you're interested in knowing. But yeah, I think that's it for this week's episode. I'm excited to read more.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. I'm really liking it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you like it too. Regardless of Lily and Will not understanding no for romance for you.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
But okie dokie. I think that's it. We'll see you guys next week. Have a lovely week. And we'll be back next week for more book talk, more brews, more stuff.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
See you.